Okay.
No, I'm just grabbing my water.
Okay.
Shackled the whole time too.
Yes. That's, I believe that's kind of a policy thing
Sorry.
for your hair. Shackled, right? Have to stay on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jail.
Yeah. Because you're at the courthouse versus being like in a secure facility. Okay, so we're here because your lawyer reached out to us and said that he spoke with you after the last time the three of us came down to Ocala and spoke with you, and that you had some more information or really wanted to come off everything and kind of lay it all out there. Is that what happened?
Not quite. I don't know.
Okay. Tell me what happened. What your understanding of coming back up here was.
That you guys wanted to talk more about, I guess, the situation or the interview.
Okay, you know when we left that interview, you were still holding back some stuff. Remember, you and I kind of had that understanding.
Yeah.
You were still kind of uneasy and holding back, right?
I mean, not necessarily holding back, but I'm just having a really difficult time trying to remember everything that's happened and how it's happened. Like, remember I told you that it's very difficult for me to kind of separate from what I've learned to everything that, like, you know, what we've discussed.
Like what you learned in the trial versus
Yes.
everything that.
Because it goes hand in hand, and I know you guys try to tell me, like, not to try to separate the situation, but how can I not? It makes sense with certain things that's happened because of what I've learned from
Right.
the trial.
Okay, so when we left, you and your attorney had a conversation, and he reached out to us saying
Okay.
to do another interview. I mean, do you mind telling us kind of what your conversation was? I'm not trying to anything privileged, but as far as like what made the decision for him to reach out for us to come back and talk with you.
I'm actually kind of lost about that. Yeah, because it wasn't, I spoke to Tara about it,
Okay.
and I don't know if, like, she relayed anything
Okay.
to Chris,
Okay.
but I haven't spoken to Chris.
You haven't spoken to Chris.
No,
It was just Tara that you spoke to.
Yes.
Okay. And when you spoke with Tara, did you had come off of it any information, or did y'all have a conversation about maybe you remembering some more stuff?
It was not even, like, about remembering. It's just that like I said, you know, like, when you guys had left from our initial interview, like, you guys wanted me to remember things, and I told her, I was like, it's very difficult because it's like I don't remember a lot of things, and I did mention to her that you guys want me to separate from things that I've learned and from, you know, like,
Right.
what did happen. And I'm like, if there's things that you guys can show me, you know, like something that'll jog my memory, because my brain's mush. Like, it's very hard, and just this week alone, it's been very traumatic, even being
Back.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been stuck in confinement. I mean, I've literally, since I've been here for like the past 7 days, I've been out for like 2 hours.
Right. Okay.
2 hours off of the whole, like,
Yeah, because they have you in confinement.
yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's start here.
Okay.
Okay. Separate. You know the difference between
Trying to.
experience, what you've experienced, what you've talked to, what you've done,
Okay.
versus what you've heard from other people, or because those are two different kind of memories. When you experience something, you do it, you're involved in it, you're involved in the actions of it.
Okay.
That's a different kind of memory than something you just learn in a trial or you
Yes.
just read in a book.
Yes.
You understand the difference between
Yes.
those two? Okay. Let's talk about those experiences, not the memories of the things you've seen and learned, but the
Okay.
experiences you had that led up to this murder.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I want, and I need you to kind of walk us through it. I know you gave us a little more than that, and you said I've never talked about this, so it was kind of hard at the last one.
Yeah.
So I need you to talk about that. Okay,
Okay.
so talk about those experiences. I know when you and Charlie started dating, we went through that timeline. Just walk me through those experiences, not the things that you remember reading.
Okay. Well, I mean, even reading stuff, it's like, this is like things that, like, my attorney has, like, showed me. Like, if she would show me, like, a text message, I'd be like, okay, I kind of, you know, I would remember,
Right, and I
like,
understand
the
that.
situation.
I'm not expecting you to remember text messages exactly what you texted someone. I'm not expecting you to remember verbatim the conversation you had, but this is a pretty big deal, a pretty big situation. That this isn't a normal thing for any normal person to go through. that it's significant enough that you can remember if you had a conversation about hiring somebody, if you've had a conversation about how much money, or if you were going to get paid, you were going to be taken care of. Those are things you can remember. You don't have to remember verbatim what happened,
Yeah.
but how it happened, how it unfolded is what I want.
Okay. Well, that's where my whole dilemma has been, because of the whole situation where I told you about that paper. I don't know the facts that's in that paper. And that's why I've always wanted
Okay.
to.
But the conversation leading up to that paper, before we even got to that paper, there had to be some kind of understanding before that paper was put in an envelope and then, what was it, your diaper bag or something?
Yes.
Yeah, there had to be a conversation leading up to that.
Well, yeah, like,
Okay.
you know, where I told you
Right.
from Halloween, I think that's one of my first recollections of him even stating anything about hurting his brother-in-law, but that's not like what he had stated, you know, like he was just saying that his sister's going through stuff, and that his sister was going through stuff, and just, this is like within weeks or maybe months of just him just talking about it, but not really, like there wasn't really anything happening at that point until he had given that paper and then obviously.
Before he gave you that paper, he had to know something, that you had something lined up or you could make something happen.
Well, that's what my whole confusion was, that like, why would he even like have trusted me with something like this? Or
You had to give him something to make him trust you. You had to say something to make him think that you could make this happen for him.
well, that's where like my concerns are too. Like my question, not concerns, but like my questions, because of like, did he know about Sigfredo? Like, how much did he know about Sigfredo? I mean, I'm pretty sure I've spoken about Sigfredo, but like just to express like what I've been going through with him.
When we were down and Ocala and spoke to you,
Yeah,
you said he put it in the bag and told you not to touch it, to give it to him.
yeah.
Okay. So there had already been a conversation for him to know that you had with him, you had with Charlie,
Yes.
for him to know that you were going to be given this information and Sigfredo's going to be taking care of it. Get to that. That's the conversation I want to hear about.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not like one specific probably conversation. It's through the times, like, oh, do you know somebody that can do this?
Okay.
But,
Okay.
yeah.
Tell me details about all those different times. Best details you can remember.
That's what sticks out to my head is the Halloween. That's probably one of the ones that stick out, when he mentioned that to me about
What did he
his-
mention?
about his sister having a hard time with her husband. And then from there, he probably mentioned, I mean, like, he's like, oh, I need somebody that, you know, that can take care of this. And from there, like, he just probably kept talking and talking about it. And then I don't ever remember saying specifically, oh, that, yeah, I have somebody for this, but not saying that it's Sigfredo.
Okay.
And I don't know when I had approached Sigfredo about it, to tell him about it, but obviously I never said it was for Charlie.
Right. I understand that. You probably kept both of them in the dark as
Yeah.
to who.
Yeah.
But the conversation of the planning of it, that what was going to happen. He says, I need you to take care of this, take care of something. I need you to find somebody to do this. Okay, what was he saying take care of? Like, I know we discussed it.
Under my assumption at that time, it was, I mean, to beat up this guy that's giving his sister a hard time.
Okay.
Don't know when it transpired from that to him getting murdered. And that's why I was confused with the whole situation. And I don't know when I learned about him being murdered till later on.
So here's my thing. So a murder happened.
Yeah.
There is no communication between Sigfredo and Charlie. The only communication back and forth between them and Sigfredo, the Adelsons and Sigfredo, which is really Charlie, right, is you. So
Okay.
at some point, there's got to be a communication going through you to Sigfredo to let him know it's a murder. Charlie understood that that's what he wanted. Sigfredo understood that that's what he wanted. And you're saying you're the only in-between
That's
of
why-
those two, and you're saying you don't understand that that's what they want. That's
Yeah,
what...
because I didn't know what was like written in that paper. Like that's where like I'm confused about, and that's what I didn't know about, and that's why it's still, like, and I know I get it, it's hard to understand it, but this is my whole dilemma of the whole situation since day one, because I'm not getting the answers, and I've been kept out of the loop too, but I am the go-between, and I am, like, going back and forth with them, but you see even my confusions with my phone calls, it's not, I don't know details or anything about it.
Right. Okay, so after the murder, after, we did the wiretap and all that stuff,
Yes.
you and Charlie met up multiple times. Last time we met, you would only tell us about the stuff that you knew we knew that was on recording. There was a couple conversations that you and Charlie met up and that you had that we know, because we had surveillance, we know that you guys had those conversations and you have yet to tell us what happened in those. That's after the murder. That's after you know that Sigfredo's been arrested. That's after you know that the cat's out of the bag. You guys are discussing this. Okay? So at that point, tell me how that conversation went. Because at that point, Dan Markel is dead because it's been 2 years past him being killed. Okay? He's already dead at that point. So you knew he was dead not long after it happened, when it all hit the news, I'm sure.
When it hit the news when Sigfredo got arrested?
I'm talking about after you knew Dan Markel was dead before Sigfredo got arrested.
I don't think I knew that he was dead until...
You went to Charlie's house the night that they got back and picked up the money to pay them and knew it was done. You told us that at Ocala.
Okay, this is... Because the bump was, 2 years...
Yeah, 2 years after.
Okay,
the bump was
okay,
2 years
okay.
after. So I'm saying now we're at the bump. So you already knew. This is 2 years after. You know this man was killed. You know Sigfredo killed him for Charlie at this point. Whether you
No,
knew...
I didn't know that
At that
it
point,
was,
you know.
It was Sigfredo. I never knew that it was Sigfredo.
Well, Sigfredo and Luis, right? You knew the two of them.
I didn't know. That's the problem, that I never knew, because I gave that paper to Sigfredo. Under my assumption, I thought Sigfredo, that's why when during the trial and I'm seeing that he was up in Tallahassee and all of that, it's like, why would he be the one? I would think that he would just give it off to somebody else, or he never spoke to me about that. And that's why I was so adamant about wanting to speak to him, because I wanted answers myself, but that never happened.
Okay. So you mean to tell me that you had no clue that he came up to Tallahassee? I'm pretty sure there was a phone call that after they did it, I think, was it Ocala or Gainesville? Something like that, they stopped and they had a phone call with you on the way back down to South Florida from Tallahassee right after the murder.
He never told me that he was going to Tallahassee. Sigfredo doesn't tell me these things. Like, he doesn't tell me where he goes, what he does. It's not even that it was this situation, but whenever he does anything, me and Sigfredo have always been in and out of each other's lives.
Right.
When it was good, like I told you, it was good, but when it was bad, I didn't care. I had 2 kids that I was taking care of. And that's what I'm saying. I don't have certain answers that I wish I had, or else this interview would be a lot easier and I would be able to provide you guys with the information that you need.
Okay. All right, then how did you know to go to Charlie's house to pick up the money? Those are the things that we kind of need. How did you know to go to Charlie's house to pick up the money that night? How did you know that?
Well, Charlie called me to have dinner with him or meet up with him that night.
Okay. But how Charlie wouldn't know without somehow Sigfredo, whether you knew it was Sigfredo that did it or not, somehow Sigfredo had to reach out to you, because neither one of him nor Charlie had any communication with each other.
We already had this conversation. You went and met with Sigfredo when he got back, and then you went to Charlie's house. The cell phone records show you go up there and meet with him and Lewis.
Okay, if I met up
We've already had this
with,
conversation, and you still denied it.
I'm not. It's not that I'm denying the situation.
Yeah. All right, hang on a second. Let's step out.
This is nowhere.
Sir, do you mind? I don't know if like this can be done, but if I could speak to Jason really quick right now,
Okay.
please. 'Cause I feel like I'm about to faint right now.
Okay. What's up?
It's difficult to speak about, like, I don't even want to go through this all over again. And I feel comfortable talking to you and Miss Bennett, but every single time I feel like there's just this tension. And I
What
don't
if I
want to.
just let Sherry sit here? What if we just let Sherry talk to you? And then I understand talking to three of us is stressful. If the biggest thing is what we're discussing is either just pulling the plug and saying we're done with this, or how to move forward. What if we send Sherry and just you and Sherry talk? Would that be better?
I mean, yeah, it's just that I don't want to be like, this is my whole situation is like, I feel like, it's not that I'm getting cornered, but it's like,
It's not getting cornered.
It's not like, I know what I know. And I feel like some type of pressure of like, okay, that I should know more. If I knew more, this would be a lot easier, and this would be
I don't think it's as much as knowing. I think it's you understanding where your responsibility was in this situation.
Yes.
And instead of minimizing it or putting it as I
And
just
that's the
didn't
thing, I don't
realize
want to
that.
like downplay it
Just-
or anything, but I just don't want to wait.
You've
Like,
watched this for, golly, 6 years now at this point. You've seen it, you've talked to everybody. We've tried this case twice. and Sherry went through the whole separating what you see and what you did and what you know, or what you learned. When there's things that we can put you in a place, or we can put you on a phone call, or we can put you in a situation, don't minimize it as, oh, I guess I was doing this. Tell what it was. Just talk about what was going on in that situation.
That's where my problem is that, yeah, like, okay, now, like, he's like, oh, we already spoke about this. Okay, but it's like, at this point, I'm here, like, well, I wish that, like, is there any way where it's like you can kind of, like, show me that I'm like, we could talk about it more? This is how I discuss things when I'm
showing you, I mean, we could probably go through the years and tell you in 2014, this phone call occurred, or this meeting occurred, this situation occurred. Instead of, well, I guess that's what this was. That's when this occurred. That's what we're looking for from you, not not you guessing that makes sense or making it fit for us. If we ask you a specific question, just give the direct answer.
Okay.
All right? I'm going to let Sherry come in here, so it's not an intimidating situation. And I'm just going to let her talk to you for a minute.
Okay.
All right?
All right, Katie. Let's you and me just talk.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable with that?
Yeah, it's just,
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and like I said,
I know.
it's a lot. It's a lot, yeah.
I get that.
It's very, like, intimidating, and I just don't want to upset anybody anymore, and I just want to get this over with already.
Right.
I keep having to relive this over and over and over.
Right. This is that one decision you make that shaped your whole life, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We don't want to have to keep coming back and talking to you. We're not
Believe
gonna.
me, and I don't want to keep coming
Okay.
back, yeah.
But what we do want is we want the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
No matter what, the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
So going forward, let's just start from the beginning like we tried just a minute ago.
Yes, ma'am.
You have just me in here at this point, so hopefully it's a little more comfortable for you. Okay, start from the beginning. I know y'all started dating, and you had told us previously when we came to Ocala that he almost immediately was constantly venting to you about his sister's issues.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, walk me through all that again.
Well, yeah, like that's why that's a lot of the situation where it's, I even questioned you guys, like, why would he have trusted me, and why is he telling me all of this? But he's been looking for somebody for a long time already.
Right.
But that's not how he played it out to me in the beginning. He's just talking about that his sister is going through it with her husband, and that his parents have been going through it too. Like this man has been very stressful to their life.
Right.
So, and that's a specific time that I remember was Halloween, and I didn't even remember that till way later on
Right.
when I was talking to Chris, and I was like, that was like a significant moment where I could remember him asking about, like, oh, would I know somebody that could potentially harm this person? And I was like, okay, yeah, but never saying anything about Sigfredo or whatever, because I haven't even mentioned, obviously, to
Right.
Sigfredo anything about it.
Right. Okay, and I get that, and I fully believe that you didn't share the names of who you were
Yeah.
having everybody do it for. I understand that completely. And I get why you would keep that separate.
Yeah.
Those are two people in your life that, especially Sigfredo being the father of your children. So I get that. So we have that separate.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that you didn't tell him it was Sigfredo. You didn't tell Sigfredo it was for Charlie.
Yes, ma'am.
I understood that. So we got that cleared up.
Yes, ma'am.
So just going through and talking. Let's go through the fact that, so Halloween is the mark that really sticks in your head, right?
And that was 2013, so that was
2013.
I must have met this man like for the past like 2-3 weeks. Like,
Yeah,
wasn't
you
even
just
that-
met him.
I just started
Okay.
working in Sophie Dental, so
Okay.
it was fairly new.
Okay. So 2013 of October 2013 Halloween party.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are at. He said potentially harm this man.
Yes, ma'am.
At what point was there thinking that it was going to be more than just hurting him?
For him,
Yes.
or like for my understanding.
For you, because at some point you knew.
That's
He didn't
where.
straight out say it, but it was an
Yes.
understanding.
Yeah,
At what point was it the understanding that that's what was happening?
that's probably not even until later on, and
Okay.
I can't.
Okay, just
honestly
walk me through that
recall.
part.
Okay.
So walk me through. So you tell him in Halloween at the Halloween party,
Yes, ma'am.
yeah, I got someone that can take care of this for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then so at that point he starts probably making the moves and trying to. You guys start having conversations and making it roll.
Yeah.
I understand you're still not telling him it's Sigfredo. He has no
Yes.
clue about that. So start me from there, from the Halloween party. After you tell him yes, how does it start evolving into what it turned out to?
I'm pretty sure he just kept mentioning, like, do you know somebody? And I just kept saying, yeah, but I don't know when I went to Sigfredo and told him, I was like, hey, like, I need you to, like, have this done, like, get somebody beat up, but not him. Like, that's why it's never
Right.
my understanding, because Sigfredo, it's like,
You
I
expect
would
him
tell
to get
him,
somebody
yes,
to do
of
it.
course, yeah, like, so, and like I said, it was just to harm this person, I guess, to get him, it's not to that point, because like I said, like, it's not like he straight off told me that he wanted this person to die or get murdered, or else I would have been like, why is this, it's, why are you even asking me this, and why is it that this is happening? But with Charlie, he just he got in my head, and he just kept saying it over and over and over. And like I said, like I didn't really react to it that fast or whatever. And I don't know how long of a span it was until I was like, oh, okay, that I mentioned it to Sigfredo. I don't remember.
Okay. All right. But so it took a while before you mentioned it to Sigfredo.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you thought I know you said before.
He
you thought
probably was just like
talking,
playing around,
but
or
he kept
yeah,
on. He kept on. He kept coming to you. After you said yes, you have someone. He kept coming to you. Kept
Yeah.
coming to you. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So he kept coming to you, and you said later on, it was at some point later that you realized that he was meaning kill this man instead of harm him.
But that's where I'm kind of confused with the time frame, because unless, like, I'm just not wanting to just wrap my head around, like, that somebody's telling me, to
Yeah.
harm somebody, but it's when did it transpire from him getting beat up to him
Right.
getting murdered? That's
Did he ever say he wanted him beat up, or he just said he wants him taken care
taken
of?
care of.
That
Yes.
his exact words
Yeah.
was taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. So he wants him taken care of, and you said your understanding of that initially was that he wanted him just beat up.
Yeah.
Okay. At
And then
what
he
point did
obviously-
your own understanding of it, like it was before Sigfredo did what he did, even though you didn't know it was Sigfredo doing it, you thought he was hiring someone. It was before Dan Markel died. Somewhere you understood that it was. he was
It's
gonna be
somewhere
killed.
around that time it had to have transpired to him getting taken care of, so that he's not in the life of
Right.
Wendi anymore, or their for
that
their
he is
lives.
dead.
Yes.
Okay. So before the murder happened, you had an understanding that he was going to die.
That's what I mean.
I know he didn't tell you specifically.
Yeah, like,
But that's what I'm trying. That's the part I need. So I need you to try
Yeah.
to focus on that part. I know he didn't say those exact words, but there was a mutual understanding. You knew that before the murder happened, you knew that this man was going to be killed.
I guess so. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't
Not that-
understand.
I guess.
Like, it's hard for me to like not like admit to that situation, but it's like, when did that happen, and
Right.
why was, like, for me to like
It's hard words to
agree
hear.
with that.
It's hard words to hear, and you're
Yes.
probably beating yourself up.
I
And you're
have
like,
been.
how did I know this was going to happen? Because you knew. How'd you know this was going to happen? And then you still pushed forward and allowed it to happen and was that middle person. I think that's the part that you're battling yourself with.
Yes.
Okay, we got to get past the battling
I
yourself,
understand that.
because right now we're in a position that where we're trying, you're convicted, you're where you are, but we're trying to see what you can get out of this, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But we want nothing but the truth, and
Yes,
they're
ma'am.
not, they're not making any promises. They're not doing anything for
I
you.
completely understand.
You're not
that.
giving them anything to even make them want to even think about doing that, okay? All we need is the truth, because at this point, it's about clearing your conscience too,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a big part of it. You don't want, when your kids look at
It's
think
just,
that
it's
you're
the
just
whole
Yeah.
it's confusing, and I've suppressed it, and like I said, like, I've been in this battle mode of going through the first trial with
and then another
Sigfredo,
trial.
and then another trial, which I never wanted to go through that other trial. That's why, I'm pretty sure you guys heard that conversation that I had with Sigfredo, that it's like,
You just want to be done with it,
I just want to be done with it, and I just want him to come forth with it.
right?
And that's why I was so adamant about wanting to speak to him, because he kept a lot of things from me. And me learning a lot of things that's happening when,
But aside from him keeping from what he did and how
Yes,
he
ma'am.
did, we're wanting to hear from you your part of it,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how that middle man thing works. Okay, because you are that one person that went from Charlie to Sigfredo.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at some point you understood that murder was going to happen.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay,
That was
before
probably-
it happened.
I believe so.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen. Now in your head, maybe you weren't fully processing it. That's okay, but you knew. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When you knew that, you also knew that
It's
there was
terrible.
going to. It is, but we got to get past that. Okay. There's nobody in here is judging you. Okay. I'm not here judging
I've
you.
already been judged.
I know
Yeah.
you have, but I feel like that's what you're thinking. You're holding back, and you feel like because it's hard to say out loud that I did this, that I did something,
That I had
sound-
an involvement.
You had
with
involvement
it, yes.
in something so
Tragic.
yeah, exactly. That a man lost his life. It's hard to say that out loud. Okay, put that aside. It's just me and you and this deputy in here. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, put that aside. We just need the facts of it
Yes,
at this point. Okay, so I understand it's hard to say, but we got to say it.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's get to that point. Let's get to, you knew it was going to happen. Then there was an understanding at some point that about payment and how we got to all of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start through that. Let's go from, okay, you had the Halloween party.
Okay.
You told him at that point. You told him once you told him yes, he's keeping on you. He keeps
Yeah.
bringing it up. He's not letting it go. You're like, okay, this man's serious. Then at some point you talked to Sigfredo. It wasn't immediate.
Yes.
Okay, Sigfredo, you have him. You're understanding he's going to get someone to take care of it, but he was going to do that part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're going back to Charlie. Okay, I got somebody for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now go from there. You tell Charlie I got somebody. Where does the discussion about payment happen? Where does the discussion like I said, I understand he didn't tell you I want this man killed,
Yes.
but at some point you understood that that's what he wanted. So let's get from the payment and how that discussion happened and that what it was for.
Well, the payment wasn't ever directly discussed. Obviously, he was gonna pay for the situation to occur, but as far as how much it was or whatever, he never said it.
So there
Just
was no
knows that it was
flat-
gonna be taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be taken care of.
Okay.
Okay, obviously, there's, I just told Sigfredo, you're gonna get paid for this. So, which obviously he, he's not gonna do something
Where you
without,
get money, yeah.
exactly. And at that time, like I said, me and him were going through a rough patch back and forth, and then financially too, because you see how many jobs that I had to take. So
Yeah.
I think that was another initiative of why Charlie got in my head about well, you get money for this, you won't have to worry about things so
And
that
I
was an
understand why you believe that.
advantage. Yeah.
Because he's already showing you this lifestyle. You're dating him briefly, and he's already showing you.
I
He's very
actually
flashy.
did not know how much,
Like how much he has.
he had. Yeah.
But he does talk like he has a lot of money.
Yes, of course.
Right.
I mean,
A lot of people in down the south do that.
Exactly.
have it or not.
Yeah. It's the talk. It's him. You know, he was not a flashy person, but I mean, he lived well off.
Right.
And at that time, like I said, like we were like struggling. Like I'm working multiple jobs. You know, I just broke up with Sigfredo a couple months before that. He didn't have a job. I'm pretty sure he was doing his thing,
Right.
trying to make money, whatever it was, which
Right.
he's like
We
always kept
understand what
away
we
from.
understand
Exactly.
what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay. We understand how he was doing. That's neither here nor there. We
Yes.
don't care about that
Yes.
here. So you're struggling. You're a single mom. Dad's doing what he can to make money, but he ain't. You're really supporting your kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's happening.
Yeah.
You meet Charlie. You start dating Charlie. He's whining and
I mean,
dining.
we're hanging out.
I know
we're
not
having
like
a good
official
time.
boyfriend girlfriend, but you're dating, like going out on dates,
Yeah.
going out with each other, doing things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that happens. Then at some point he's comfortable enough to from the beginning, I think you said he was venting about his sister's husband.
I guess things were occurring as that's happening. Like I said, you know, now time frame wise, I see that there was a lot of things going on, and I guess that's why he's feeling pressured to pressure me
Right,
of
'cause
getting this done because of, you know, like
there was a lot of court stuff going on.
exactly, which like I said, I learned from. He never discussed anything to me about like what Wendy was going through.
Right.
You know,
But he just told you she's having a hard time.
she's having a hard time. His parents weren't like, his mom especially wasn't like sleeping well, and just a lot of like hardship on his family.
Right.
So, I mean, he's painting a very bad picture of this guy to me, obviously.
Right.
Like, you know, so I guess that's why my
So in your
conscience
mind, this
wasn't.
is a bad man that's putting
Yes.
the strain on this nice family that you just met and all this stuff, and he's wanting your help and you're wanting to help him.
Exactly.
Is that a good
Yeah, that's a
estimate of
good.
what your mental state was?
Yeah. Because I mean, he knows how to get it to my head where it's obviously he was making it seem like he was the worst of the worst. Like this man was the worst of the worst. He's put. I mean, from what my understanding from meeting his parents and meeting his sister, they were good people.
Right.
You know, so
So you're just thinking there's this evil guy, really, in your mind, that's
that
putting
he
them
was
through turmoil.
exactly like
Okay.
putting the whole family into
Right.
a bad situation.
Okay. So then, Charlie, you agree. Let's get.
Okay,
I
so
want to get
this
past
is
that now. We keep going back to the Halloween thing. That's a good thing because that's a point. That's a date in your head that we can pinpoint. Okay, now we got that pinpoint.
Okay, so-
I want to go forward from that up to. Okay, he never said the exact dollar amount. I got that. Okay, but he did say that you'll be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
They will be compensated for taking care of this for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I know you don't know exact times,
Yes, ma'am.
but I want your best guess. If you say a month, 6 months, whatever. So if we got October is when the Halloween party was. We know Dan Markel was killed in July,
Yes, ma'am.
the following July. So that's not
The
quite a
following
year.
year.
Yeah, it's in
Okay.
2014 because it was October 2013. You go through July of 2014 is when he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There was a trip before the July trip. There was that June trip,
June.
and you had previously told us, and I'm going to use this to remind you just because we spoke about it in Ocala last month.
Okay.
Or
Was
it
it
early?
last month?
Early,
I felt like it was-
no, it was this month. Or no, it was last month. Either way, it's within the past like 2 months. You did admit that when Sigfredo told you, and obviously you didn't know that Sigfredo, you're saying you didn't know that Sigfredo was the one that did it, but you knew he was getting someone to take care of this for Charlie. That he asked for money, and then when he needed more money for something, you would go back to Charlie and get more money for it.
Yes. Okay. It's just that before that, okay, that paper that I told you that
In the diaper bag?
that had to have been towards the beginning of the year,
Okay.
2014.
At the beginning of 2014, so after Christmas, before they made any of the trips and things like that, correct?
Yeah, because I don't even know if there was any trips prior to
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So that's okay. So that when I had given, okay, so Charlie gave me that. Like I told you, he had it sealed. He's telling me like, oh, that he didn't print it from his house, and he did it like probably from one of the offices that he wore gloves. I mean, he was adamant about telling me
And not
these
wanting you to
things.
touch it too. Right?
Yeah, he told me, please don't open it. It's sealed. Just, you know what you have to do with it. So I was like, okay. And like I said, like, I'm not even treating this like, okay, like he put it in the bag, and I didn't even know how much longer until probably Sigfredo came by the house, or I mean the condo where I was living at that time. And then I was like, oh yeah, like, you have a paper in there.
Okay.
Like in the bag, he
So
grabbed
it wasn't
it.
like you went to Sigfredo immediately and gave it to him. It was
No.
just when he came over, he got it out of the
Yes,
diaper bag.
yeah.
Okay. All right. When he gave you that paper,
Yes, ma'am.
and he's like, you know what to do with it. You know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I get you don't know what was in that paper.
Yes.
At that point, did you know that understanding that it was that he wanted his intent was to have Dan Markel killed?
At that moment, no.
At that so it's after the paper
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
realized that. Okay, but
Yeah,
it is
like
before,
I said, it
is
had to have
before he
been
was
way
killed.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, way after that.
Okay, so way after that.
Because
so,
I feel like that's like towards the beginning of the year, maybe between January and March.
Okay, so
That's-
between January and March, the paper happened. Okay, best guess. And I understand
Yeah.
you're not exact dates.
Yeah.
That's okay. Between January and March, the paper happens. Sigfredo gets paper. The murder happens in July. So from March to July, about how soon before the murder was it that you think that you understood that he was going to be killed?
From March to July. Well, like you said, the trip before, right?
The June. Yep, that's the June trip.
I was never aware. Like, Sigfredo's always goes out of town, or whatever business he has to do, or whatever. Like, he never told me where he was going.
Okay.
Like, I didn't know anything about the whole Tallahassee or whatever. He never mentioned that. Kept that away from me. Any information. So, but he did say he was going out of town.
He did, but at some point with that, he
Oh,
asked for money.
that's what, yeah. So,
So
you
tell
know,
me about
Sigfredo
that.
didn't have any money, obviously. So he'd be like, well, I need some money so I can go out of town. I'm thinking in my head, maybe this is where he needs to scope things out or whatever. So that's where I will go to Charlie, and I'm like, hey, like, I need some money so that, you know, to take care of whatever
Okay.
expenses and stuff.
Right, so you're telling the expenses for them planning what they are taking care of for Charlie.
I mean, that's, I guess, assumed.
Assumed?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just tell him, I need more money for expenses. And it's
Yeah,
assumed.
because he's never given me, he
at
never
that point,
gave
he can't
me
give you
any money
yet.
at all.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so that was the first time he gave you money.
Yeah.
So the first time he gave you money is when you're going back and you're like, hey, I need money for expenses.
Yeah, because this is, yeah,
Now
because
he's
Sigfredo's telling me, like,
okay,
I
we're
need some
going,
money.
I need money that this is trying to be planned.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yeah.
what Sigfredo's telling you. So then you go to Charlie and you tell him, hey, we need money for expenses. So, and that's the understanding, expenses for planning what is about to happen.
Yes.
Okay. How soon before he left for out of town did that happen?
From what, when he
In the
would give
June,
me
the first one, you said when he went to
See, I don't know time. I mean, I don't know when he did leave. Obviously, now I know, like, the June
Well,
and
yeah,
July
so
trip.
but at the time you didn't know.
Yeah, like, he just asked me for money. I wanted Charlie, got the money, and then gave it to
back to
him. I don't know when he went or how soon he went after I handed him that money.
Okay. Do you know
Yeah.
how much money it was you got from Charlie?
Like a couple $100. It has to
$200.
be, yeah, like
Okay.
less than probably $5.
Okay.
I just
So
know there was like
$500 or
a,
less?
yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. But it was just enough in your understanding and in Charlie's understanding it was for expenses for him to
Yeah, like,
So,
I didn't
make
ask him
plans.
for a specific
amount.
amount.
You just said you need expense money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. At that point, though, when you're asking for that money, you knew that their plan is the planning for the murder at this point, correct?
No,
Okay.
I still don't know anything about, like, the murder. That's the, like, I guess.
So
to
now
just
you're saying
scope it.
between June and July, so that last month is when, before he was murdered, is when you realized that that was what was going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay. So was there anything specific that
that's like an
was
indication
said,
of
yeah.
saying that this was
that this is what was going to
No.
happen?
No.
Okay. What in your try and think about the way you process things and the way you think about things. What would have happened, or what in your mind made you know that they switched from him being beat up to it's about to be a murder? Because you're saying that no one ever said it specifically, right? Did Sigfredo say it, mention in the passing that's what's
I
happening.
know. He definitely would have never
wouldn't
told
have,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, that him definitely
He
would
wouldn't
have.
have.
It wouldn't have. It would have had to come from Charlie,
Charlie.
and that's what I don't.
So it's something that Charlie said to you that made you understand that that's what he wanted.
Yeah, from what he had said. Yeah, from what Charlie would have said, it would never be like, because then Sigfredo never even told me what was on that paper.
Right.
So if there was any instructions of what needed to be done, obviously he kept that away from me and he never mentioned it to me. But along the way, Charlie probably said something about it. But at that time, like, I don't know, like, I guess it just wasn't dawning on me that, okay, like, this is specifically what was going to happen.
Right. It did at some point before the murder happened. It dawned on you.
I believe so.
Okay. So here's my thing. So they get money and you go get money from Charlie for expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
To scope things out, whatever. That was the understanding. That's
Yes,
what the
ma'am.
money was for. Okay, I get that, the
Or
understanding.
take the trip.
Take the trip.
Yeah.
Okay, if they were just going to go beat somebody up, you don't really need to go scope it out. Just go beat somebody up.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't know. Like, I would think, I wouldn't know what specifics would be just to, like, I get what you mean now. Like,
Yeah.
like, why would you need money? But, like, I mean, to travel, to get to wherever he needed to go.
Right. I understand the money to get travel and everything like that. He's paying for the expense. If he wants this done, so he better pay for us to go and get it done.
Yes.
But so when they came back from that trip, okay.
From the first
trip.
The first
Dan
time.
Markel's still alive at this point.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
first trip he comes back. Did he discuss anything about the scoping it out? Say anything
He
about
didn't
getting
say
more money
anything
from
to me.
Charlie?
Sigfredo didn't say anything to me.
Okay.
And then obviously Charlie was like, nothing happened, so
Was
I
like,
mean,
what happened?
he's okay, and he didn't get beat up or anything, so nothing happened. So
Right. So Charlie
it just-
told you that nothing happened during that trip. Was Charlie thinking that something was going to happen during that trip?
I believe so.
So you think Charlie?
Yeah,
thought
well, because of the fact that I had asked for money and for him to even go up there,
up there,
like, yeah, I guess he was assuming something was going to happen, and nothing happened.
and then nothing happened. So then Charlie reaches out to you and is like, "Hey, nothing happened."
Yeah,
Okay. So Charlie calls you about that and says nothing happened.
yeah.
Okay. What else did Charlie say during those conversations? Best you could think of, because obviously he was expecting something to happen during that first trip. Is that around the time that you think he might have said something about what he wanted to happen to Dan?
He was just always saying, like, this needs to be taken care of. Like, this needs to be done. Like, he was just kind of frantic about, like
Like,
about
why
that.
isn't it done?
Yeah, like, why isn't it done?
Did he say anything about the timeline it's taking to get it done?
No.
No, he didn't
There's
say, like,
never
I gave
any
you the paper at the
timeline.
beginning of the year, and now it's
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it did, like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's like all that time had passed. So it's like, I kept living my life and going about whatever I had to do. So it wasn't like until he started like pressuring, I guess, around that time that it needed to be done, like around.
So around like
July.
the first trip that they went
Yes.
was when he started really pressuring
Yes.
Charlie.
But
did?
wasn't there another trip prior to that?
I know for sure there was the June trip, and I know that there was talk about there possibly was a trip in around May, maybe.
Okay.
But I know
I wasn't aware of that
Yeah.
because I never.
there. I'm not sure. Don't quote
Okay.
me on that around the May one. I think there was talk about. I know for sure there was the June trip, and then there's obviously the July trip when Dan Markel was killed. Okay, we know about the June trip. We know how that happened. We know. I mean, you heard all in trial about that. I know you didn't know it was Sigfredo that came up here. Now you do.
Yeah.
Your own experience from that time is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the stuff you learned in trial.
Yes, ma'am.
So your experience from that time is Sigfredo comes to you and says, "Hey, I need money to make this happen for him." Before Sigfredo did that, you said Charlie was pressuring, like, "Hey, what's going on? Why isn't it happening?" Did you go to?
Because I guess he assumed something was to
Was to
happen
happen
that
trip.
Yes.
Okay. So, but before that trip, before Sigfredo asked for that money, did Charlie ever come to you like, "Hey, why is it taking so long?" And
I'm pretty sure he did, but
And then did you? Go,
I just
and
didn't,
You would have
like-
had to relay that to Sigfredo.
yeah, and he just probably didn't care or didn't, whatever. Like, I don't have time to do this right now, or
Okay.
he was in his own little
His own little
binge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that also too with the whole this is why certain things, certain conversations that I have with Sigfredo are so like confusing and like shady, because he was he was under the influence like the whole time. So it's like some of the times he didn't even make any sense, or I would be frustrated and I just didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
Like it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not invested in
Yeah, it
in
was
the
just,
situation.
you're still
where
living and doing your normal life. This is just something on the side that every time
it
comes up,
occurred,
you're-
and yeah,
Okay.
and obviously since I was dating Charlie at that time, he's in my head
constantly.
talking about this all the time. Like, yeah, we would hang out, but then he'd have it's like, oh, okay, so what's going on? Like,
When Charlie wants
Probably.
something done, he's going to keep at you till it gets
oh
done.
yes,
Right.
yes,
When Charlie's got something in his head, from what I've observed based on the stuff in this case, he's going to keep going at it. So that's what you're trying to say. So even though Sigfredo's living his life, you're still with Charlie, and Charlie's continuing to come at you. Like, hey, why isn't this happening? Hey, let's get this
I mean,
done.
I would
hey,
relate-
This is still an issue.
I've related to Sigfredo, but Sigfredo didn't care. Like,
To
Half
him,
the time,
it wasn't
yeah.
that important
yeah,
to him. He'd get to it when he get to it.
yes,
Okay, so then he came to you, asked for money for that trip in June.
yes, ma'am.
You go to Charlie, you get, we're going to say approximately $500. So
Yeah.
that's not a definite amount,
Yeah.
but no more than $500. Okay, you give that to Sigfredo. Sometime after that, obviously shortly after that, not too long after that, Sigfredo makes a trip up to Tallahassee.
Yes,
You didn't know it was Sigfredo. You thought he was sending someone else. I get that. Those details left aside.
Yeah.
He comes up here. We know it was him now.
Yeah.
Okay. He comes up here. He comes back. Do you know when he gets back in town? Obviously, you didn't know he was coming.
When he came back to town, what were you talking about? July now?
We're talking about June right now first. We haven't made it to
June.
July yet. The trip that nothing happened, because at some point,
I
how
don't
did Charlie
remember.
know he was back and that nothing happened?
He didn't know.
He didn't know.
I mean, I guess just nothing happened within
Within so many days.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing happened
from
within.
probably from the time that I had like
Got the money.
asked for the money, and then probably like a week went by, and like, okay, so what's going on?
Okay.
So
All right. So we can.
and I'm pretty sure
Charlie
Sigfredo
knows
is
he's-
MIA, and I don't even know if Sigfredo really did what he had to do, or he just wanted to get the money from me so that he can, like I said,
go on another binge
yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. So we got June squared
Okay.
away. Okay. So we got June squared away. Sigfredo, you got the money. Charlie gave you the money, and then Charlie's like, "Hey, I gave you money. Nothing's happened. What's going on?" Sigfredo, whatever. Now let's get to July.
Okay.
Do you get more money from Charlie for them to come up in July?
Yes.
Okay. Explain that to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sigfredo was like, "Hey, I need money again, so that I can go out of town." So I'm like, okay. So I go to Charlie again, same thing, ask him for money, and then, but I mean, he just gives it to me, so I'm.
And Charlie didn't be like, "Hey, he didn't do it last time." Was there any conversation about, okay, last time was scoping and planning. This is the time that he's actually going to go and do it. How did he?
And then no, not that I
There
don't
was
think
no-
he didn't even ask me any questions or anything about it. Just okay, it wasn't done. I asked him for money, and he just gave it to me again. So
And you told him
I
it was
gave
for
it-
expenses again.
yes,
Okay.
yeah.
But how much did he give you that time?
That's around the ballpark that I'm thinking. I don't think it's that like 500. That's like a lot for
Yeah.
like a trip to make. But I'm just saying.
But you gotta think like somewhere to stay, you gotta gas.
Yeah,
Sigfredo's like, I'm doing this for him. He's probably gonna feed me, things like that. So we're gonna do the approximate 500 again.
Okay.
So we got. It could be less than 500,
Yeah.
but no more than 500.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So in June you got the approximate 500. Less, could be, but no more. That was your understanding. He was going up to scope it out.
yeah,
July, he's going back up there.
Yeah.
And he says, we need more money. So you go back to Charlie and get more money.
Yeah.
We're in another approximate 500.
I'm just thinking that from that month,
From-
that he's probably like at that point, like Charlie is adamant about something needs to be done now.
Okay, so Charlie is adamant in that month time frame.
Yeah,
And at that point,
I'm from what my recollection. Yeah,
that's what I want, your
yeah.
recollection of it. That's all I
Yeah.
want, is your memory and your recollection.
Because there's like there has to have been some type of pressure of why he had to go right away.
Right back up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Charlie's putting pressure on one of them right now. Do you think at that time frame, from your recollection, that's when you understood that it was now going to be a murder and not just so I don't get beat up?
I mean, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's hard for me to, like, like, not even to admit to it, but it's like, where did it switch from that to that, and why was I like?
I know it's hard to admit, but
Not-
I need you to admit to me what part where it switched. I know it's hard to say that you were a
because
part of
it's
that.
not, and it's like, was it that time, like, was it within that time frame, which I'm pretty sure is, like, Charlie was just like, okay, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and he said something that I'm like, that's what needs to be done,
Right.
and then, like I said, it's never been spoken outright.
He's never said, I need him to kill him.
Yeah.
He's never said
So
those
it's
exact
like,
words. I need him
not
dead.
those, not
He's
those
never said those
words.
exact words. Never said, I need him dead, I need him killed. He kept saying he needs
Just
him
needed
taken care of.
yeah.
Initially, your understanding was that he needed him to take care of was being beat up. At some point, he keeps pushing and pushing and being persistent. Am I correct? And then,
I'm saying, like, I feel like it slipped and he said something, and that's when I'm like, okay.
that's when you realize that that's what he's talking about.
Because
Okay.
he just goes and talks, and, like, he goes in his rants, so he probably was just so frustrated, said something, and, like, it didn't really, like, I might have heard it, but then it's like, didn't question it, and just
Okay. And you
What
said
about
like,
it?
he let something slip, probably, and then goes in his rants because he's frustrated at this point.
yeah.
So that's probably frustrated. So is it safe to say, just on your recollection, safe to say he's frustrated because now we're in June, July, and nothing happened in that June trip, and now he's frustrated because, okay, I gave you money thinking it was going to happen, nothing happened. Now I'm about to give you more money. So do you think it would be safe to say it could be in that time frame, or
Yes, ma'am.
So okay,
Yeah.
from your recollection of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so be in that time frame between the first trip and the second trip that he was frustrated and that something hadn't happened, and that's when you realize that
That's what I'm saying. Like, he might have slipped and said something along those lines.
Something that
I
he
just
said
can't
made you
remember.
realize.
Yeah, like,
That
this
he wanted
is
a
a lot
murder.
more
Okay.
than what's, he's
what
letting it out to be.
Right. Okay. So something he said made you realize that he wanted Dan Markel killed and not just beat up.
Yeah.
During that
Well,
time.
like,
frame.
like I said, I didn't even know, like, Dan Markel.
You didn't know his name.
I don't know. I
But
didn't
the
know
person that
anything.
they were taking care of.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so something between that June trip and that July time of asking money because he's frustrated it hadn't happened. That's when he let something slip that his intention was to have the subject that they were going up there killed, not hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So now we got about a month time frame of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So you go in July and you go and get that money from Charlie for them to go back up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You give it to Sigfredo. I understand you're still saying you didn't understand it was Sigfredo going, but you thought he was getting someone to go.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Dan Markel is murdered.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At that point, because I know that you had a conversation with Sigfredo when he was on his way back. I know that there was a post.
On his way,
Or when the drive back somehow.
yeah.
There was.
I mean, like, he's always calling me. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
At what point? Okay, then let's say at what
Yeah.
point did you realize that it was done? Dan Markel's. I understand you didn't know it was Dan Markel's name. I
Yeah.
understand, but the subject was deceased, and you were to go collect money because you went to Charlie's house that night.
yeah. Okay, well,
Start from the beginning of that.
okay.
That July trip. Let's just walk me
So-
through the July trip.
I'm thinking that that I had, or either Sigfredo, I don't know if Sigfredo came to me in the to where I live, to, probably on his way back.
Yeah, you did tell us
Or
in
I
Ocala
had
that he came to you when he got
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did Sigfredo tell you when he got back? Did he say it's done? Did he say something to let you know that you were to go collect payment? Like,
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I understand.
that's what he said. He's like, I need the money.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Okay, so he.
So I'm assuming, like, no questions, no nothing. I didn't ask him, like, what happened. He would never tell me anyways.
Right.
But he's like, hey, I need to get paid. I need the money.
Okay.
I'm like, all right.
Charlie was calling during that. Did Charlie say anything? What did Charlie say to you about knowing it being done or anything about that?
Well, that's when I had gotten the phone call from him, I think later on that night too. And he had said that, like, oh, can you come over? We're going to have dinner or whatever. And then he said something about an accident. And
Okay.
that's from what I remembered. Like, something happened, there's an accident. So I'm putting two and two together, like,
So Fredo's come here and told you it's
Asking,
done, he needs
yeah.
money, and Charlie's calling you the same night, almost around the
Yeah.
same time, saying, "Hey, come have dinner. An accident happened or something." Is what
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. You go to Charlie's that night.
Yes.
Y'all have dinner.
I think I just went to his house.
You just went to his house.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go to Charlie's house. Tell me about the discussion when you get there and how that goes out.
Okay, so when I got to Charlie's house, I told you he was acting kind of like frantic, and I remember him having a gun with him. That's why I was like, like I come in or whatever, he had a gun in his hand and he is just like pacing back and forth, and I don't know like exactly what he was telling me, but it's almost like he was scared, like something was gonna happen to him.
Right.
So I'm like scared too, because I'm like, why are you like why do you have a gun? Like I've never seen him like have a gun on him. He's like pacing back and forth, and then he's like, oh, an accident happened. He's still not telling me that this is from Tallahassee, and he didn't tell me that anything happened to his brother-in-law yet.
Right.
Not that I could remember him saying. I just know that it was an accident, car accident or something at that point. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, I need the money.
Okay.
And then he's like, okay. He gives me, because I remember falling asleep. It was like we weren't even up for like a long time, because he was so
wired,
nervous and
yeah.
like he looked wired and nervous. And then he gave me a Xanax and I fell asleep.
Okay.
Like we both fell asleep.
So you both took a Xanax and fell asleep. But before you fell asleep, you told him you needed the money.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you tell him that? Like, did you say, "Hey, he came, my guy, obviously you're not saying names.
Yeah.
My person said they took care of what you need." Like, tell me how that conversation happened.
There wasn't really much of a conversation. I just told him like I needed the money. Like I don't remember.
So when
really,
he's talking about the
discussing
accident
anything.
and all that stuff,
Well,
and you're
yeah,
saying I need the money, you're not saying, "Hey, now you know this has happened. They did this for you."
That's what I'm saying. It's like he knows that something happened already. He's like certain that that's that. I'm collecting money from Sigfredo telling me, that obviously at that point, like, I knew, but it wasn't, like, okay. Like, I just went specifically to ask him for that money. Like, I wasn't
Okay, so you knew.
asking. I didn't want to ask really any questions. That's why, I guess. That's why I didn't want to, like, okay, so that obviously he knew that had already happened and that occurred.
Okay, so you knew that he knew the details because of how he's acting.
Yes.
Okay, you knew from your side because Sigfredo came back and told you, "Hey,
Yes.
it's done.
Yeah.
I need money."
Yes.
You go to Charlie's. Charlie's acting erratic, telling you an accident happened. In your mind, that's him realizing what happened.
Yes.
Okay. He never came out and said that my brother-in-law is dead. Did he come out and say anything about any of it?
No. Not
Okay.
that day.
He didn't come and say, "Thank you for taking care of this for me."
No, definitely did not say anything like
Okay,
that.
so he's just pacing back and forth with a gun and kind of being frantic.
Well, remember I had, from looking at I don't want to go off topic or whatever, but from looking at the text messages from when I was like reviewing stuff, like, before my trial, and then I see that his parents had stopped by his house, right? I mean, I'm at that point, and I've told you this before, that he's always mentioned that he never keeps any money in his house.
Right.
So, and he was very adamant about telling me that too, and now it makes sense because he never wanted to get robbed, or he didn't want, I guess, things to flip and be like, okay, like he had some type of money or kept, he had it safe, but like I said, I've never seen like anything like that inside his safe. So his parents like stopping by over there, which I almost feel like it might have been like around almost the same time frame for me, even like getting to his, like before I got to his house.
So you think his parents stopped by right before you got there, like around the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why
you weren't there when they stopped by?
No.
Okay, so you think they stopped by right before you got there?
Or he had said something about his parents stopping by. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So about that, explain to me what you think about that.
I mean, like the whole money situation, because it's like, when did his money just all of a sudden appear, and he said he's never had it in his house.
Okay, so you think that his parents brought the money over?
Yes.
Okay. What specifically? So he's adamantly told you that he doesn't keep money in his house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's adamantly told you that he never keeps it. He's there.
Yeah.
You said he mentioned something to you about his parents stopping by, and then the money was there.
Yeah, and then it just confirms from the text messages that I saw that at that time that his parents did stop by before they, I guess, went up to Tallahassee.
Okay. All right. Before we spoke about the money, you said the money was stapled and
Yes,
stuff
ma'am.
like that. Have you ever seen inside of Charlie's safe, seen money in his safe or anything like that?
I know he's had like whenever he opens the safe, he kind of like blocks it, and I'm to the point, like I'm not like nosy and wanting to see what's in, that's his stuff or whatever,
Right.
but I've never seen like money or anything like that inside his safe. I know he has probably like a gun or whatever in there, but
Okay. Have you seen stacked money or anything?
no, not stacks of money.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's grabbed money out from there, like, if we're gonna go out, grab some money and then, close this safe, but not like stacks of money.
Okay. So when you get there, he gives you a Xanax, and he says something about his parents had just stopped by. Where's the money at that point? Did he already give it to you yet?
No.
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 Okay. So
Okay, so fell
give me
asleep in the morning. I mean, he was up before me, and then he told me, hey, it's in the trunk. Like, cause I had that SUV, so he put it somewhere in the back
Right.
of my SUV, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, like he got my keys and went in my car and like, I guess put it back there, and then I'm like, all right, well, I gotta go, and went back down south.
Okay. So that morning was a very short morning then.
Yeah.
Because he's already awake. By the time you wake up, he's already put the money in your
Yeah.
backseat.
Yeah, I didn't stay there for long.
Okay. You left. Where did you go when you left his house?
That's when I was like trying to get in contact with Sigfredo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get in contact with him?
Couldn't get in contact with him, and that's where the whole, like trying to find
Jessica
him
and all that
and
came in?
yeah, but see, that's where it's like everything was a little different. Like, how, like I told you, like they're saying that like I went upstairs or whatever, but
I
that
just want you to tell me what you remember.
okay.
I don't care what they all said, your recollection of how that day went.
Yes, ma'am. I just remember finally, I don't know if it's that I had to go in the alley. I don't know who told me. I think it was probably, or I was just waiting there. There has to have been some communication, and then just to meet up behind Lewis's apartments in the alleyway.
Okay.
And I was just waiting there in the alleyway, and Sigfredo jumped in the car out of nowhere.
Okay.
I didn't see him with the Prius or whatever. I didn't see any cars
just saw
around.
him jump
He
in.
just jumped in, and he scared me because he looked like he's been drinking and on drugs though. Yeah. So I told him, I was like, yeah. So I told him, I was like, hey, your stuff is in the trunk. He grabs it and then like leaves.
Did you ever see what the money was in the trunk? Did you ever look when you went to your car? Did you ever look? And
No,
see?
I never looked in the back of the car, but I did see it like when Sigfredo had it in
Okay. What
his
did it
hand.
look
It
like?
was like in a plastic bag,
Like,
but it was like, I don't know, like
describe
exactly.
it for me.
I
You
just,
can use your hands or whatever best you can. I know, best you can.
it was, yeah, it was like in a plastic bag, but it looked like there was like a paper bag inside. So
Okay.
I mean, it was pretty wide.
Okay.
And then he just like ran and went. I don't know if he went upstairs with it to Lewis's apartment or wherever he went, but he just like left. And so I left and I went back home.
Okay. He didn't say anything after he grabbed it?
No.
Okay. He just said.
I don't know if he said, I'll see you later or
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you left and go home. At what point from there does Sigfredo come back and you get your portion of the money and all that?
he comes. I don't know if he came back that same day. I don't know if I was trying to call him again and,
Okay.
like get in contact with him or whatever, but I was already, like, I'm home with the kids or whatever. Like, I already came back home, and I don't know if I took the kids out somewhere or like took them to the pool or whatever. But I know I was already home at that time, and I don't know when he came back. But I know he had to come back probably that same. I don't know if it's the same day or the following day.
Around that time frame.
Yes.
Okay. So he comes back. At what point does he give you money?
When he came back.
Okay. Did he already have it like pulled out for you, or was it? Did he have it still wrapped in something?
It wasn't like a plasticky bag.
Like a grocery bag, or like a Ziploc bag, or what? Or like a clothing store bag?
I don't. It's not like a zip, but it's kind of like a form of a Ziploc bag.
Okay.
Yeah, because I remember it being closed. So yeah.
Okay, so it was like closed.
Yeah.
Okay. Was the money? How was the money like?
It was in stacks.
Stacks.
In the stable.
Okay. All right. How much do you bet? Did he give you?
That's that. I never like counted how much.
Your best guess was it like the stacks of hundreds? Were they 20s? Were they?
I believe some were hundreds and like hundreds and 20s.
Hundreds
because
and 20s?
some of them look a little thicker.
Thicker than the others.
And then I got it, and then I put it in the closet, and like I literally like forgot it for probably a couple days, like because at that point, there goes Sigfredo again, MIA, and I don't know if I had any other conversations or whatever if I with Charlie at that time.
Okay. All right. And you put it in there, and you just put it in the closet
Yeah.
and leave it.
Remember, I had told you that about like later on. I don't know if it was like a couple days. I called up Sigfredo and finally spoke to him again, and then I was like, "Hey, there's mold in this." So I'm like questioning him. I'm like, "What am I supposed to do?" Like, in my head is like, "Is this like fake money or something? Like, why is it getting moldy?"
Why
It
does
just
money have
wasn't.
mold?
Yeah, because it's like all that moisture and everything. But
Yeah.
now I realized that it was washed or.
Okay. All right. At what point did you start spending the money? Did you dry it out? Like, did you leave it in the stack stapled, or did you take the staples out?
I think I tried to dry it out like with a blow dryer.
Okay. Did you
He's just like
unstaple it to do that?
I probably did.
Probably did.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did that and blow dried it out,
Yeah.
and then what'd you do with it?
Well, I just put it
back.
Put
and
it back. Yeah.
Started using
Probably put. Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you would just like you never deposited large amounts or made any big purchases.
I never made any big purchases, but I'm pretty sure little bits at a time. Like I had deposited money.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what would be about the amount that you would make the deposits for?
I don't remember. Like at that time, like I told you, like I was working too. So
Yeah.
it's like whenever
So
I would make just like a deposit whenever I had a chance
Okay.
to do so.
Was that when you were doing the bottle service stuff too?
I believe so.
Okay, so you would have cash from that as well.
Yeah.
So you would.
I would just, I kind of just dispersed like between banks, make sure that I had it there. See, the thing with Sigfredo too, it's like if he needed money, he'd grab money off of, he'd
he'd
come
just come
over,
in there
he
and get
knew to
some?
come in the closet, grab some money, and then like I had to think about like the long run. That's why I'm like putting money little by little so that I could have money.
Right. So the money in your
in the
closet
saving.
that he brought, was that supposed to be your cut and his cut?
I believe so. That I don't. I think he probably took his cut and
And then
he
still was
just
using yours too?
yes.
All right.
I don't know what he did with his or
Right.
how much.
But you started thinking he's going to keep coming and taking money. I need
Exactly.
it. So when you would have tips
Exactly.
from, just
I would
would you
just-
mix it with your tips from your bottle
Yes,
service? Okay, so you
Yeah.
mix it with your tips from your bottle service and do deposits,
Yeah.
and then you did that.
Yeah, I had it like in some type of shoebox or like maybe like a bag or something,
Okay.
so that at least obviously like the kids won't get
Yeah.
too, and then like but he knew exactly
Where it
where
was.
to just go. Yeah.
About how often did you make the deposits? Like how often from bottle service do you do it? Like weekly? Would you do it like every couple days?
Oh no, that yeah. Whenever I get a chance, I don't know if it's like probably like weekly, not
Yeah, because you
not,
work
not
maybe
so
like
often.
through the weekends or
Yes,
whatever.
yeah. Whenever I had a chance to go to the bank and to just do it, like I would just put like a lump sum
Okay.
of it.
Okay. All right. After the money got to you, and how were you and Charlie still hanging out at that point?
I
Did it
believe
die
so,
down?
but it like he wasn't really. He he started acting, to my perspective, a little weird about it. You know, like, I guess I didn't realize it at that point, but again, like, we weren't exclusive, and it wasn't like we were always together. I didn't have that luxury to always be, you know, just
Going with them all
yeah,
the
because
time.
I'm always with the kids.
Right. So when you say he was acting weird, like, was he pulling away? Was he being, like, cryptic? Like, the way he was talking, describe his acting weird.
It just, we weren't hanging out as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think,
Like-
did it abruptly change after he paid and the murder, you think?
From how you know, like, at that moment, I didn't realize it, but seeing it now, yes. Yeah, I think, like, little by little, he was just kind of distant.
Okay. But you guys remain in contact?
Yes.
Okay. And he would still message you here and there? I know
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
the
Like,
dental appointments with
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff for your kids and all that stuff. Okay. So that's kind of how the relationship stayed until kind of 2016. Am I
Yes, ma'am.
right? It's just like communication
Yeah.
here and there. Did you guys start trying to date again at all?
I mean, we'd hang out, like I said, between me and Sigfredo too. Like, we were always,
Like when you and Sigfredo were off, you kind
Yeah.
of hang out with Charlie.
yeah,
Okay.
kind of like that, yeah.
Okay.
Because then Sigfredo would go again and upset me, and he'd be in his crazy, you know, like, he would I just couldn't keep him, like, tamed.
Right.
So,
Okay. And then, so you and Charlie, that communication just stayed open. It was just kind of
yeah. I mean,
open
we did.
communication,
We
you still hang
stayed.
out.
We stayed friends. I mean,
He would still reach out. and
I
say
kind of
hi.
knew, you know, that's why you hear me teasing him about his girlfriends. It got to the point where it's like, yeah, it was more like we were just friends. Really, we were just friends, but yeah, like,
Occasionally you would hook up.
exactly.
Okay. Okay. So let's go now. That's kind of how your relationship was from, like, after everything happened in July of 2014
Yes, ma'am.
through now we're at early 2016.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything I'm missing from the murder until we get to around the bump time and around?
No, because
Yeah.
all of that seems to be.
It kinda,
It
like,
was like, it
thought
was
it was
a
all done and
blur.
over
It was
with
just,
and-
yeah. Like, I almost feel like, okay, like, he got
He
what
got
he
away with
wanted, and not necessarily that he got away with it, because like, nothing was ever discussed after that.
Right.
There was
so there was never any
no
communication
discussion.
about what happened to his brother-in-law. What about
Nothing
when
after
did you
that.
see the news articles and all that kind of stuff about it and put two and two
I
together?
didn't know about all those news. That's why I keep telling you guys, I didn't know anything about no news articles or whatever until Sigfredo got arrested.
So that's
And
when you found
I
everything.
wasn't even well, prior to that was the bump, right?
Yes.
So he had to have mentioned something about it coming back again, but my recollection from it was a little different, because at that point, that's the thing. Me and Sigfredo got back together.
Mm-hmm.
He moved in again. You know, everything was fine.
So your relationship with Charlie wasn't as close
Yes,
as it was.
because obviously, like,
Right.
I'm back with Sigfredo, so I think that's part of the reason too that he's stayed away.
Okay.
But still, you know, I would communicate with him. Obviously, Sigfredo didn't know that I'm still talking to
Right.
him, you know, but even when Sigfredo had gotten arrested, I didn't really know about, like, this whole Tallahassee and until then.
Okay, so, and I get it, down there you guys aren't getting our news articles, we had a murder in Tallahassee. And
Yeah,
this man, so
I didn't know how big it was over here and what was going on.
Right,
Definitely
yeah,
did not.
That doesn't make it down there. This is Tallahassee. You were down in South Florida.
Yes,
They're
ma'am.
Miles away.
Yes, ma'am.
So I get that. So let's go to, okay, before Sigfredo got arrested, there was the bump, and Charlie's reaching out to you, wanting to meet up with you.
Yes.
Okay. There were a couple meetings where we know you guys met up that were not on recording. Obviously Charlie's shaken up because now this has come around, especially you telling me after the murder how frantic he was, having to take his Xanax, walking around with a gun. So obviously this coming back around, I can see how
He
that would
was-
spin him up.
Yeah.
Tell me about those conversations.
conversations that I had with
him when y'all would meet in
Charlie.
person. Yeah, you and Charlie would meet in person.
It was the same stuff that he would always say, like even on the
Okay.
conversations that I would be on the
Right.
phone,
Well,
he'd just say the same thing over and over.
Go into some of that for me. So let's go to the first time he met up with you after the bump. You walked out and you got in the car with him. That was the first conversation. I think he's like, I got to meet with you and meet you in person.
Okay, because things led up to that. So
So tell me what led up to that, and then get
his
to
mom. Yeah, his mom. Okay, his mom was approached.
that.
So that was the first situation, right? Okay, so his mom got approached, and that's when he had contacted me. And then about talking about an ex-girlfriend or whatever, and then I was like, what would it have to do with your mom? That's one. I was like, that didn't make sense. Like, why is somebody questioning his mom about me? And then so he got that. I'm trying to remember. That the bump happened. Is that when he wanted to meet up in Dolce Vita?
Yeah, we got the Dolce Vita inside, but there was other meetings
Before that?
Yeah, before that. Because I mean, you know what we have from Dolce Vita. You've heard it. Before that, you walk out and get in the car with him, and y'all are sitting in the car.
That was from when I was working in that plaza. Yeah, I get in the car, but
Okay,
then
when you get in the car, what does he say? Like,
we're trying to figure out where to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's not freaking out about what y'all were talking about or anything? Like,
He said he spoke to his mom.
okay, tell
He's
me
like-
everything that
Okay,
you
like
can
I
remember from
remember.
that. I know you're not going to remember exact words.
Yeah.
but
He's
just
like, oh well, somebody approached my mom, and mentioned Katie, mentioned your name, and then from there we just probably like, okay, so where are we gonna eat? And then we discussed. I mean, we were talking in Dolce Vita,
right, I know what you're talking. So let's.
but we didn't really like. There was nothing.
You didn't discuss anything in that car?
No, there was nothing significant in the car that he didn't already say when we were in the car.
Okay, walk me through Dolce Vita, because obviously you've heard the recording, the same one I've
Yeah.
heard. Walk me through that and the stuff he's saying, because he's like freaking out. He's saying,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
you're-
he's
and you're
freaking
like-
out, and I'm just like listening to him saying all of this, all his scenarios and what could have happened, and asking me. I feel like now that he was like trying to feel me out of, I'm like trying to figure out this stuff with him.
yeah,
with the
wondering if
whole-
you're snitching on him and trying to get him in trouble.
I guess that's what he was, trying to get
But
at.
y'all's conversation in Dolce Vita, he's telling you to handle something. So
Yeah,
he's
I
tell-
guess.
Okay, so talk to me more about that, because you're saying in the car before that, and in the car, the part that we don't have on recording,
Yeah.
there was no conversation.
But I wasn't even in the car that long. That's what I'm saying.
You
like,
weren't that long, but it was the first meeting after like his mom was approached and all that stuff, and he's
He-
wired up. So I feel like there's a little more that was said there other than just where are we gonna go eat.
Well, that his mom got, that his mom got approached, but besides that,
He didn't say anything.
he didn't say anything else in the car with me.
Okay, he didn't say anything
Not
about
that
the murder
No.
or anything.
he didn't say anything in the car. That's why, that it would have stuck out if that was the case. He didn't say anything while we were in the car. That's why we were like, okay, so like, where are we gonna eat? Like I said, like I wasn't taking it like how he's frantic about it. I'm just,
So you feel like you were more relaxed about it while he's
Yes.
freaking out.
yes, ma'am.
How were you seeing that situation when his mom getting approached? What were you thinking that was happening at that moment?
In my mind of him mentioning, and his mom mentioning my name, I mean, I recollect back to that situation of what happened, with Sigfredo. So
Right. So you
That's why I went-
you immediately go back to that, and you were at first you were kind of quiet. It's
Yeah,
Charlie.
like
Charlie
he's-
talks all the time anyway, but
yeah,
he's talking. You're kind of quiet, but you're also contributing. At some point, he tells you to have this taken care of, or make this taken care of, make this go away. You need to handle this.
Yeah,
All those
because
things
he's-
he's telling you. And then I know some of the stuff that you have said back was not as clear.
yeah.
So, kind of, what was your responses to those?
He's telling me to take care of it because he's telling me to tell. you know, he obviously he didn't know it's Sigfredo, but
in
you
your
know,
mind, you
like
know it's
yeah, like
Sigfredo.
I gotta tell Sigfredo about it for him to handle whatever the situation is.
Okay, he mentioned something about like blackmail, like is someone trying to blackmail us, or is it the cops, is it the FBI, whatever. At any point, did you tell him or assure him that it was not you or your people trying to do anything? Because it seems like he was, like you said, he was trying to fill you out, see if you're
Yeah.
trying to set him up,
Yeah.
him and his family up. At any point, whether it's at that sitting or at any other point, was there a conversation that you had with
Well,
him?
he is involved in a couple other things too. Like he wasn't, you know, like so. I'm thinking somebody else is like he I think he's just throwing off things to me to
Okay.
see like what's gonna, you know, like what am I gonna say or whatever. But
Trying to see your reaction.
yeah.
Okay, so
But the blackmail, that's why I'm kind of, because this is where it gets a little confusing for me, because I don't know when it transpired to that. Because in my head, I'm thinking I don't know if that's when he said anything about Tazo or Tuto.
Mm-hmm.
He's confusing those two names. He's messing up Tuto's name when he knows Tuto's name.
Yeah.
But he's always been like that. It's like he never really mentions his name. It's like it's almost like he doesn't want that to come out of his mouth.
Sigfredo?
No, to Charlie. Yeah.
So how does he know his name, Tudo and Tato?
Well, he knows Tuto's name because I've said Tuto's
He
name.
knows Tudo.
Yeah.
He just didn't know Tato.
He doesn't know Tato.
And so you thought he was confusing Tudo with Tato.
I'm not that he was like
Because
he was
Tato
saying,
is Rivera, right? He's
Yes,
Louis.
yes.
Okay, and he had nothing about him. He knew.
Yeah.
So did
Well,
he know
I didn't even know anything about the whole thing with
about him
Tato.
being involved? Yes.
Yes.
Right, but I'm just saying, as far as his name or anything about who
Yeah,
he is
he
or
didn't
anything
know.
like that.
He didn't know
So
anything.
your mind is when he's saying Tato from the thing, you think he's confusing Tudo's name with Tato.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
But to me, now as he's saying Tato, like why because this is okay. I'm sorry, like I'm kind of going
That's fine.
because when that bump happened and he had mentioned about like Tato's family being taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm thinking, why is he saying Tato's name? And why is he saying Tato's name? And I'm pretty sure I'm asking Sigfredo like why, like in my head I'm trying to figure out like why is he saying
Why is Tato's
his name coming out now? So I'm thinking since Tato is incarcerated, something along that line, something is happening because he's trying to figure out if it's like FBI or somebody trying to blackmail. Like he has all these different scenarios.
Right.
So I'm here thinking that Tato's trying to get some type of, now he's blackmailing either the family because he's incarcerated, and why else would somebody mention something like that? Like that's how it was playing out in my head, and I'm pretty sure in Sigfredo's head.
Right.
But Sigfredo's not telling me things because I'm trying to ask him things, but he's just like, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. Like, you see how like a lot of our conversations was he's upset at me.
Right.
He didn't want me to talk on the phone. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying like if it worked out the way that everybody assumes it was, you know, if I knew more about it, then I wouldn't even be talking on the phone.
Right.
But
so Tato was incarcerated. He was incarcerated shortly after the murder happened.
yes, for that RICO case.
Yeah. It's completely unrelated.
Yes.
You never knew Tato was involved at all until he was confusing the name, or you still didn't know at that point? Like when you meet with Charlie, he's saying Tato, and you're like, Tato's incarcerated. You thought he was confusing Tato's name with Tudo. At some point, you go to Sigfredo.
Yeah.
And you tell him, hey,
I mean, well, he was living with me.
Right, yeah. But you call him.
I believe so.
Yeah, you'll have a phone call.
Yeah.
But also, you had...
After me speaking to him in Dolce Vita, right? Like I had contacted him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I think he was at work or something.
Yeah, I was at work too.
Yeah.
So I told him.
Yeah, because you had walked out and
Yeah.
with him. So you had that meeting with Charlie. Did he ever show you the flyer that they showed him?
No, He has never shown me that flyer.
Okay.
Not in the car, not...
Nothing?
Yeah.
Did he tell you
like,
it
in
was
the
on like
video-
a picture of Dan Markel's, like a headline of Dan Markel being murdered and stuff? Like
No.
on there?
He didn't say that, but I do... In the video, he looked like he took something out and he was like under the table, like looking at it and then put it away, but he never showed it to me.
Was he reading it to you?
I think he was reading it to himself and then just
And then telling you?
not telling me what was on the paper, but kind of like I guess the situation.
Okay.
You know, like not, I don't even know what was written on that paper. So, was there anything written on the paper?
There was stuff written on the paper.
Okay.
I mean, you've seen it since you.
It
since your trial,
was that article, like, okay.
So
So that was the same exact paper that was handed to his mom.
yeah, it was the same picture of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So you guys have your conversation there. You're talking on the phone back and forth. He's telling you get it taken care of. When you left him at Dolce Vita, you make that phone call to Sigfredo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's when he tells me not to talk.
Tells you not to talk on the phone. And
Yeah.
tells you to talk when Sigfredo come home that night. How did that conversation go? Because obviously he's probably freaking out. This stuff come back up. What's going on?
I think he's trying to figure out if like Tato has anything to do with it.
So you think that he was trying to figure out if Tato was trying to flip?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. So at some point, Sigfredo tells you to call that number, and you're telling him to call the number. You're telling Charlie you called it.
Yeah.
All that back and forth. I know
But
that
no-
was all back and forth. You never actually called it. We know that. That's been
Yeah, I
established.
never called.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've already said that you just lied to them about it, saying you did.
Yeah.
What was the conversation? Because you and Sigfredo living in the same house.
Yeah.
So there's obviously conversations living in that house together. You
Not,
ever having
that's the thing. It's like
you're pretty wired up on the phone. I assume that you don't come home and act like, okay, none of this is happening.
that's kind of how like we are though. Like we get like really heated on the phone, and yeah, like probably when I got back home, you know, I'm like wanting to know things, but he's like, don't ask me any questions. Like don't ask me any questions. I'll take care of it.
Okay.
That's really.
And he made a comment to you. He's like, I'm cleaning up your mess.
Yeah, I
Like-
don't understand. Like, I guess
because you got him to do this. At what point did he
Yeah.
realize that it was Charlie he was doing this for?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't think he knew it at that time?
I can't say if he
Okay.
knew or he didn't.
I don't want you to guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I can't tell you like when he thought. I think some way, somehow, everybody kind of
Figured
knew
it out?
who was
Knew, but-
involved, but nobody's really asking these questions or saying these names.
Okay. Because there was a text message Charlie sent you
Yes.
about a birthday gift for Tudo.
Yeah. Well, his birthday
Okay.
was around that.
Okay,
that
so
time.
why would he get something for...
But Charlie makes
It was just-
stupid comments like that all the time. Like he'll say
Okay.
stupid things, and like I specifically even remember about the whole GoPro. I'm like, never gave him any GoPro
Right.
camera or whatever. But Charlie's always try to. It's like he knew what I was going through with Sigfredo, but he was kind of being understanding about the situation, like, oh, you should get back with your baby daddy, like you should, which makes sense now, like he wants me to be in good terms with him, therefore he backs out.
Right.
So, and then like I said, it always works out. When it's good with Sigfredo and I, but when it's bad, it's like back to the whole
normal...
turmoil and
Yeah.
fighting and all that stuff.
Right.
But even through
And that's what y'all been through. Y'all been through together since what, high school?
yes.
So that's been the cycle that you've
Th-
been familiar with
that's
your
the
whole
thing.
life.
We were good. We were until we came back down to. I had my son in Orlando when I graduated, and then came back down to Miami, and then it just started kind of getting, I guess around the same people he used to be
Right.
around, and there was
Bad
a lot
habits.
of bad habits. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's also part of like when you're dating an addict or have an addict in your family.
But
And
that's
so it's the
I don't
one-
know if I'm like just oblivious to it because I don't do drugs like that. Like I don't dabble on those things. Like I said, like my children are my number one priority, and I wasn't paying attention to, like, now it makes sense. Like now I see why he kept going back to that girl too, because obviously she did drugs all the time. So it's like that's the lifestyle,
Right.
and he was living a different life.
Two lives. One life with
Yeah.
you, the family life, and
Yeah.
then he can't control his addictions. When
Yeah.
he would spiral back down, he'd go and live that, then he'd come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
Alright.
much.
Okay. Well, give me a second. I'm gonna step out, make sure there's nothing else we need to cover.
Okay.
And I'll be right back in. You need anything? You got plenty of water in there?
Not water, but yeah, if I
Was
can
it
get some
coffee?
water, yeah.
You want, or
yeah,
you want water?
Or coffee.
I'll
Either
talk
or.
to him and see what he do. You want water or coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee?
Yeah.
Alright, give me just a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That was definitely a better setting.
Yeah.
Have your whatever cup. We'll get a cup of coffee for you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Just black, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, why did I come to work today? It's such a beautiful
It
day.
is a very beautiful day. Yep. If I was in Ocala right now, I'd be outside trying to bask in the sun.
Is that where you live?
Oh, no, I'm from Miami.
You're from Miami?
Yeah. But that's where I'm incarcerated.
Right.
I didn't even know where Ocala was. I still don't know where Ocala is. I just know it's,
Very close to Gainesville?
yeah, close to Gainesville a little bit.
Right in the middle, kind of middle of the state.
Okay. I don't know why when they transported me from here to Ocala, it seemed so fast, but this time around from Ocala to here, it felt like we were on the road for like hours, like 3-4 hours. It shouldn't have taken that long.
No, because come up 75 to 10, so it shouldn't be that bad.
Oh yeah, there was nothing. I looked out the window and there was not. I was like, there was like a cow every now and then.
Right.
Like, where am I? Yeah. In the middle of nowhere.
Ocala, beautiful though.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's really horse country. A lot of big farms, or not, I shouldn't say farms, ranches, that
Ranch.
kind of thing, because
Yeah.
they're real big on.
I think they have like a, yeah, like they have like a horse ranch near the prison.
Yeah.
I don't know if they used to have like some type of, like, what do you call those? Like maybe like a program where they,
Like riding?
Yeah, like I'm saying, like for the prisoners, maybe like when they're about to go on work
gotcha.
release or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
like
yeah.
something close
I
by.
don't know. I don't know.
But I don't know if they took that out.
I don't know.
Or like a dog program. I know Gadsden, I think, has a dog program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't know Goodwill did that.
Huh? Oh,
What
yeah,
is it?
Goodwill Coffee Cup.
I'm looking for you.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, it's so weird. Like the clouds in Ocala, I guess it just been inside for such a long time. It seems so close. Like it was like 3D.
You
When I
talking about the
first
clouds
saw it,
being down?
yes, it's so low. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Not as beautiful as it can be from your point of view,
Yeah.
right?
It is.
Yeah, Ocala is a beautiful area.
It's just weird because I'm looking at the clouds now. It's like so high, but over there it seems like it's like right there, like right in
Right.
front of you.
That's kind of like the way it is if you ever go to the mountains.
Yeah,
It's like
kind of
you
like
can
that,
almost-
like what I see in movies. Yeah, like you can touch
almost,
it.
yeah, reach it. But then it's just the opposite if you go like out west. A mountain looks like it's right there,
But it's really far away.
and you've driven for 2 hours and that mountain's
It's
still
still
right there.
there.
You're like, wow. It's a different perspective, you know.
It definitely is. God, I wish I could be that bird.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Lord willing. Where's the federal building?
Oh, I forgot your bottle. Or back.
Well,
You got your coffee, but I also got your bottle. So
Thank you.
I forgot to completely bring it. I think we're gonna wrap this here. I think, obviously, I think you feel a lot better. This has gone a lot better.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot less tension, like with the whole situation. But when you had left, I was just thinking, like, I'm just saying, like, this family has destroyed so many families. And I'm talking about the Adelsons.
Right.
And I mean, the fact that it's like his mom is still free, and I don't even know what Wendi knows or what, like it baffles me.
Yeah.
And
Me too. My concern, do you know of anything else about his mom's involvement? Like, what all do you know about?
I just always thought that whenever Charlie spoke about to his mom, it's like he'd always step out. But it's like he never wanted me to hear anything, obviously, but just the phone calls and everything. And like, how does, and like I told you, even them coming by right before, like there's no reasoning to even come by to his house. And it's like I said, like me really kind of putting two and two together and stuff. It didn't make any sense. And like, why did it take so long to arrest Charlie?
Right.
Like right before my trial, like once again, like I had to go through the whole situation. I got reclassified and rebooked because he got arrested. When I was incarcerated the whole time, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, I'm
That made
not
no
sure how that
sense.
process works. And as far as that, that's your attorneys can probably explain that to you.
They don't get
They
it.
didn't get
Like
it?
yeah,
Okay.
like it's crazy. It's crazy, and it's just. I mean, like, look what I've done to my family.
Right.
I completely understand my involvement in it, and I take full responsibility of it, and why I kept fighting the way that I kept fighting. Like, there was so many circumstances around it, too. Like, see how for even from a standpoint for my family and, my brothers and stuff, how do I not keep fighting for it?
Right.
It's just I don't get it. It's like it's just damaged so much, and my children have no parents.
Both of your kids' parents are gone. You're both
And I don't
incarcerated.
know how to
for
make things
Right.
right.
The only thing I can say is just be truthful
Yeah.
about everything. No holding back, no wishy-washy, just completely be truthful. But what we're going to do is we're going to stop for this right now. We're going to let you talk to Tara. Tara wants to talk to you
Okay.
on the phone.
Okay.
So we're going to turn the recording off and
Okay.
stuff and let you talk to her
Okay,
and have
awesome.
have a
Thank
moment
you.
with her about everything and go from there, okay?
Okay.
All right, so hang tight right here for me.